Right now, the president is in excellent shape, and we would anticipate that he would make a full recovery. As we all get older, we are more susceptible to an injury like this. This is a common thing in seniors.
That was President George H.W. Bush's doctor talking about the former president's condition after he suffered a bad fall at his home in Kennebunkport, Maine last week. Doctors say the president is doing fine, but that it could be months before he fully recovers. Dr. Samadi, how serious is his injury?
Well, I have a feeling, knowing him and also how he goes about life, that he will recover well. He's a very strong man, so I'm not concerned. But of course, you know, this kind of fall in elderly is always a big concern. Osteoporosis plays a huge role in this, what we call compression fractures. What happens with your spine, you have a lot of vertebrae, and these bones, after time, they get weak. And when you fall, you can have a compression or fracture of this bone. You know, what they're going to do is basically they're going to watch him very carefully. They're going to put him through a rehab. But as we get older, and that's why it's important for a lot of people that are in their 40s and 50s to try to exercise, eat healthy food, get your vitamin D and your calcium, and build that reserve. So you get older, you're going to have more bone mass waiting for you. What they're going to also do is an MRI of the spine, find out where the fracture is, and sometimes they may need some surgery where they put a balloon, they basically lift up the bone and put some cement to stabilize, but it probably won't go that far in someone like him.
Dr. Siegel, what do you do when you're older and, as Dr. Samadi says, when you're younger, to try and protect your bone loss?
And it's a big deal he's bringing up about osteoporosis, not just in women. 25% of these fractures occur in men from aging and osteoporosis. And the reason is because your bones get thin and they get more brittle. And if you're in a wheelchair, like President Bush is, and have Parkinson's, you're more prone to being unstable and falling. And the fall can even be low impact. Now, we're used to these fractures. It's called a C2 fracture, odontoid fracture. We're used to seeing them in divers or in sports injuries, high impact injury. But as you point out, Eric, as you get older, and David said, as you get older, it can occur because of bone loss. Now, in elderly people, everyone out there has seen a halo, which is that cage they put on you where they have screws and they screw it in. If there's not a lot of movement in the spine, they will do that in a younger person. They are not going to do that in someone that's 91 years old. It's really impossible to keep it on. Surgery they're not going to do either. Luckily, in his case, he did not have any neurological deficits, thank God. He did not have, he used perfect use of his arms, his legs, no neurological problems. So what they're going to use is a thick brace, a rigid brace to stabilize the back. Not the halo, not surgery, but a brace.
Well, we see, Eric, about 700,000 of these compression fractures in elderly. And we see like now men are going to their 80s and 90s. So that's one of the reasons why whatever reserve you have should last you longer. And that's why we talk about having exercise, stop smoking because that causes bone loss, stay away from alcohol, healthy food. All of that plays a big role in building that reserve.
When you're talking about the elderly, the one thing you're most afraid of is falls, bad falls. And mostly we're talking hip fractures. A hip fracture sets an elderly person of the age of 91 back. How much does this set him back, considering his pre-existing health conditions?
Well, you know, what's interesting is it's a very good question, and it's one of the major complications in the hospitals, and that's why the nurses are always very careful with this kind of patients. I think there's some setback, but in the location where he is, he's going to be fine. Most of these fractures are what we call thoracolumbar. They're on the lower part of the spine, not the upper one. This is a little unusual, but I'm sure he'll be fine and he will recover.
Especially because of the point David made at the beginning, his courage, his fortitude. I believe in that strongly.
He jumps out of airplanes, for goodness sake.
This is mind over matter for healing. Now he has to watch it for infections, respiratory secretions. He's had that problem before. You can develop blood clots, so they have to keep him totally mobile.
The biggest thing is that there are no neurologic issues.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, that kind of like symptoms from to arms and legs would be devastating.
He has to stay in that brace for at least 3 months.
Quickly, calcium pills. Should people take calcium pills for bone?
You should talk to your doctor, and that's a very good point. After the age of 65, you should get this DEXA test, which will tell you what your bone density is. DEXA, D-E-X-A. We'll post it online. And what that tells you is what is your bone density, whether you should get your vitamin D and calcium. You don't want to just randomly start taking vitamin D because you end up having issues and kidney stones and end up in our office.
Oh, goodness.
Okay.
We don't want to end up in your office. I mean, nothing against you.
Thank you.